Welcome to Amy's Bookshelf Reviews podcast. I'm Amy Shannon, but you can call me Amy. Thank you for listening. Hello and welcome, and I hope all is well with you. I'm Amy, and today I'm talking about Talia Haven's book, Fragments of an Ancient God's Dream. So, before I start on with describing this book, this is the last episode of Amy's Bookshelf Reviews podcast. And I wanted to announce, too, that there have been some changes to Amy's Bookshelf Reviews, and they started on November 1st. As of this recording, I realized I had to cut back on certain things and focus more on other things. So that is why I've been making some changes, including closing this podcast. And I also am going to have only one more year of Literally magazine. So that's still available. Moving forward, if you want to see the changes on amysbookshelfreviews.com, you can go there and go to the requests and rules page, and it will tell you all of the changes that had to be made. It's kind of for my own well-being. I have to slow down, and I have to finally realize that I have to slow down. So, getting back to why I read this book. Talia Haven, great author. She writes magnificently, so I'm really glad that I can share her work with anyone who's listening. So moving forward with Fragments of an Ancient God's Dream. So in the description, it says that there are 3 independent titles. Fragments of an Ancient God's Dream. Chaos was falling asleep, and she, S-H-E-E, an ancient fragment of his original dream, was now awake. I am 8, meaning spelled A-T-E, period. I am 8, the goddess of misbehavior, mistaken impressions, and wreaking havoc. And Zeus, bless his lingering, throwing immortal soul, has just released me out onto the mortal world. And then, between the hours of 11 and the midnight chime, we are busy at their tasks at 3 old crones, spinning, cutting, and casting bones. So, that sounds very exciting. The cover's pretty cool, too. So, there are 3 stories. They all are kind of related in some way. Dreams. And, ancient gods, mythology, which it's one of my favorite subjects, so I really enjoyed reading these stories. So I'm going to read a little bit from Fragments of an Ancient God's Dream. She knew the ancient god was falling asleep. She'd felt him begin to doze off before she woke and gazed out at the wide expanse of previous dreams. How much time was allowed this time, she didn't know. Each dream was unique. Each galaxy created by the dreaming god was different, and now they spread out before her so vast. She squinted. It was out there somewhere, the original galaxy dream that her life force had initially sprung from. The ancient god's first dream. Like all others, it had been set free when the god awoke so long ago, now that it had spun out of sight. Excuse my drinking. Chaos was asleep, and she, an ancient fragment of his original dream, was now awake. Once again, at her feet lay the tiny particle of galaxy-creating energy. She grew more alert as the god slid deeper into his subconscious mind. Energy collapsed, and suns exploded into existence. Then the planets took shape. Time was nothing to she, who patiently watched the ancient god's creation as the galaxy slowly began to form. She thought, this was to be a spiral, and at the center of it all a black hole. The newly created galaxy expanded. She rushed toward, eager and to explore, and for the center of near the black hole, new solar systems were already being developed. So many planets around so many suns, she hoped life. So that is just part of that particular short story. Hopefully that entices you to want to read more. So I'm going to kind of go through. I've got her book right in front of me. And I'm going to read the first paragraph of the story, I Am 8. And again, 8 is A-T-E. My mother, bless her immortal soul, had decided that I am to stand in front of Zeus and get my punishment. Who is my mother, you ask? Well, that just happens to be Eris, that hateful goddess of conflict, contention, and dissension. She's the one who birthed us all. Yes, good old Mom, that proud yet dysfunctional parent of 15 children. Yep, you heard that right, 15. But you must realize that we are gods, and gods sometimes have no children. Sometimes the parent creates us fully grown. How many childhoods of gods have you read about? Demigods? Yes. After all, they are a lowly half-mortal. As far as full-fledged gods, there are a few like Zeus, but not a lot. So that is where I Am 8. Very exciting. Yes, I read this, but I like reading it again. Some things you just never let go of. You just kind of really, really like. These are easy reads, but they are full of detail. And when I say easy, I mean they're quick, but they're the kind of story that you want to take in every single word, so you can be part of the story as well. So for the third story in the book, Fragments of an Ancient God's Dream, the story is called Between the Hour of 11 and the Midnight Chime. So between the hour of 11 and the midnight chime, you should know there comes a time when death's grasp takes a firm hold. Its faithful servants gather you into their fold. For I was one who died on that night, just when my soul could take flight. An agent of death came to make his claim. Upon his arrival, he whispered my name. In darkened shadows he patiently stood, his burning eyes shaded by his woolen hood. When I died, he stretched forth his hand. His bony finger bided my soul to stand. And then it continues. So, that is Talia Haven's book. You can get it on Amazon, and it's if you buy it on Kindle, it's only $1.99. And I would recommend checking out all of her work, because if you like one, you'll probably like her stories. Others, she does a variety of genres and writes what's in her heart, and I think that is pretty amazing. And if you like short stories that kind of feel like a full-length novel, because you don't feel like there's something missing, I recommend that you read more of Talia Haven's work. It's pretty darn amazing, and I am so glad that I have been able to read her work, and I will continue to do so. So yes, things are changing for Amy's Bookshelf Reviews. This podcast, this is the last, as I mentioned in the beginning of the show, is the final episode. There have been several changes. I still do literary consulting, which includes editing, help with publishing. I'll read books to give feedback. Sometimes authors want to know if their book is good enough to publish or if it needs some work, and I do that. I've been part of acquisition teams for different publishers to read the books that come in, and a lot of the stuff that I do, except for like editing and promotions, and being a literary consultant with all the little bits and pieces that I do, I don't get paid, And so that's why I have to focus my time. And I learned that what I love to do and what I need to do, sometimes they're two different things. So instead of basically retiring all the other, I'm just cutting back on what I can do and make the most of the time, make the most of my time. So, and also yours. Thank you again for listening. If you're an author and you want your book to be reviewed, go to amysbookshelfreviews.com for more information. Make sure that you read the new requests and policies implemented by Amy's Bookshelf Reviews, as they will change for 2025, and then starting in 2026 they will change once again. The final issue of Literally magazine, as I mentioned at the top of this podcast, the last issue will be published November to December of 2025. And as I said, this is the final episode of this podcast. I want to thank all of you for listening. I know my audience wasn't big, but for the ones that did tune in, I hope I was able to share some information with you, and I hope you enjoyed listening to me reading other people's work, reading my own, sharing information, talking about anything literary. So again, thank you for listening, and be safe and be well. This has been Amy's Bookshelf Reviews podcast. Thank you for listening. And always, be kind and stay safe. Thank you.